This is your weekly celestial forecast beginning Monday, December 12th, 2022. So on Monday, we have the moon in Leo. Yes, indeed. And that is very creative. It's gregarious, and Leo loves the show. So it's all about expressing our affections and our emotions in a very heartfelt, warm style. And with that, the moon is also involving a T-square with Saturn in Aquarius. We're applying a square off to Saturn in Aquarius and the North Node and Uranus in Taurus. So with that, applying T-square, yes, tension come Monday is starting to build, but it is nonetheless all about our creativity and our self-expression. However, because of this applying T-square here, it's also about wanting acceptance for our individual and yet creative ideas, because Saturn in Aquarius is also very creative, and with Taurus it's all about love and harmony and so on. So come Monday, maybe early on Tuesday, we may or may not get some of the acceptance we are looking for, but we will have to be leery of any stubborn or narrow-minded behavior. And because we are involving Leo, the fifth house, the fifth house, and Saturn in Aquarius, that's with the 11th house, and Taurus is with the second house. It's all about these connections, fifth, 11th, and second. So our values and our principles, not just our personal style, will be at stake here. So there could be some sudden Uranus, unexpected conflicts coming up about what we believe is right and wrong and sticking to it. So the trick here is to become more broad-minded and not so fixed on what we believe is the correct answer. Now, also we have yet Jupiter in Pisces with Neptune making about as wide as you can get a 7 degrees conjunction, because soon Jupiter will be heading off into 0 degrees of Aries. Nonetheless, this itself is also a very creative influence, because Saturn, uh, we're talking Jupiter, and Neptune is also very visionary, because Jupiter is the old ruler of Pisces with the new ruler. So it's about the new and the old kind of coming together. And before Jupiter leaves and goes off into Aries, do not be surprised if we see some rather interesting historical finds, and it's all about water, liquid, oil, and so on. And there could be some, in this case, because they are no longer retrograde, some very fascinating finds with regards to history, or some news that is positive connected with oil, water, minerals, and so on and so forth. And we have Mercury meeting up with Venus. That is very positive, because it's about communication, about love and affection. Yes, indeed. And so that kind of brings a certain harmony to our relationships. And the sun is still in very positive Sagittarius. However, that is in a square off with Neptune. Uh, with Mars and the Sun, there's a square off, so that could be adding to some delays, especially since Mars is retrograde, and that will be pretty much the focus of the next few days. Still wanting to move forward, and we have to put the brakes on all plans and communications, and do be leery of any travel, whether it's long distance, whether it's short distance, because of the unforeseen snags, especially connected with the sun squaring off Neptune and Mars, the planet of action, making a very wide square on Monday to the sun. So let's move along. And then, of course, we do still have, as aforementioned, falling into this T square on Monday, the square off with Saturn and Uranus. So do expect the unexpected. So let's look at Tuesday. And Tuesday, the moon is still in the, well, somewhat latter degrees of Leo. And on Tuesday, it's still about expressing our individual style. Yes, indeed. However, there is really no longer a T square with Saturn in Aquarius, the moon in Leo, and the Uranus North Node connection with Taurus. Now, technically, if we added in the South Node with Scorpio the day before, there would be a grand cross. So, if anything, Monday could be really tense, and that Grand Cross will lessen a bit on Tuesday. So it's definitely not the time for disputes or petty arguments and so on and so forth. But I really like that connection with the moon in Leo. Nonetheless, it's about expressing our enthusiasm because we have a beautiful trine on Tuesday with the sun in Sagittarius at 21 degrees and the moon in Leo. So even though things can get a little bit mixed up in our communication, we really want to express who we are. And we want to express our affection nonetheless. So it seems like if things get a little bit out of hand and topsy-turvy with our discussions, look to the enthusiasm of this very warm-hearted and very unique, original Leo moon and the sun in happy-go-lucky Sagittarius. We just got to tell it like it is. But do keep in mind now we do have that square to Neptune, so our communications could get a little shady or a little bit confused about what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and so on and so forth. So do keep all your communications clear, especially on and around Monday, Tuesday, pretty much all week except for maybe the weekend. But even then we're going to have the sun going further on into Sagittarius and squaring off with both Neptune and Jupiter. So yes, again, this week it's about uncertain communications and confusion. Excuse me. So now we also have Mars in Gemini, and Gemini is all about communications. Uh, it's about Mercury, and the depositor of Mars is Mercury, and it is in its very beginning pre-shadow stage of retrograde. So very slowly but surely we're going to feel like we've got to put the brakes on everything. Paperwork, negotiations could be delayed or slowed down to a halt, and that could add to more frustrations, especially since Mars is also retrograde. And as we know, that is connected with action. But when you have business-oriented Mercury in Capricorn, it's all about looking to the future. It's all about business. It's all about duty, structure, organization. So all these areas may be a source of frustration in the coming weeks. And of course, Mercury will then remain from the 29th of December to January the 17th retrograde. Now let's look ahead a day and we're going to look to Wednesday. Yes, indeed. So Wednesday, we now have the moon in very sensible, very practical moon in Virgo, and that is applying a square off to action Mars retrograde. So, yep. Then again, starting on Wednesday, it's kind of a double-edged sword Wednesday because we have this wonderful applying sweet grand trine with Mercury and Uranus, the North Node, and the Moon in Virgo. So, on one hand, we are really mapping out our future. We've got it down. We're hard work. It's about organization. It's about analyzing Virgo. It's possibly even about our health and wellness. Come Wednesday, we may be thinking about diet, exercise, and the benefits of such. So, this is a good day on Wednesday for, yes, work, diet, exercise. There may be even a connection to some degree with the metaphysical or practical applications. There's that earthy mention there again, sensibility, and really mapping out what we want for the future in a very intelligent way. But at the same time, here we also have the moon applying a square off to retrograde Mars, and then within a day and a half to Neptune and Jupiter. So, although we're feeling rather good on Wednesday because we're really deciding we want to work hard, we want to plan for the future. On the other hand, we've got an applying, well, yes, T square with the sun and Neptune, Jupiter over the next day and a half. So, yes, it's good on one hand for really sticking our nose to the grindstone and hard work and taking the intelligent approach, analyzing all and any information, but at the same time, we may be a little bit iffy about our actions. Now, let's involve here Mars, by the way. So, but Mars with Neptune, Jupiter will not form a grand cross, but nonetheless, there is a square off with the moon. So we're feeling, on one hand, real good on Wednesday, but yet at the same time, we may be feeling a little bit edgy because of this applying T square with Neptune, Jupiter, and the moon in Virgo. And then we have that with also a square off. Yep, here we are here with Mars at 13 degrees Gemini and the moon. So a T square and a square off with the moon and Mars. So tension is starting to build, but at least with this Earth connection with Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn, that keeps our feet on the ground. So if there's communication mix-ups, the Earth connection will give us some intelligence to really move forward with practical ideas and not get too carried away with petty tit for tat or discussions that could become rather confusing or heated. So always take the practical approach come Wednesday and then into Thursday when we still have here yet the moon in Virgo. And then on Thursday, there will still be a square off with Mars And now the moon applying the square off with the sun now. So it goes from Mars, the planet of action, now squaring off to the sun and applying the T square Thursday at probably early Friday with the mutable sign. So that theme of uncertainty still remains. And right now, we still have Moon trine Uranus and the Moon trining off very wide with Mercury. So it's a good time for communications with the trine. So that's on one hand very positive. We feel like everything's going to work out all right. It's about really sticking to hard work. It's about doing research, Virgo. But on the other hand, well, we've got some decisions to make, and we're not really sure if we should go left or we should go right. But at least we feel good about our decision. And so that is Thursday. Now let's look ahead to Friday here. And Friday, now the moon is void and going into Libra. So we have this sense on Friday that, especially later on in the afternoon, that we want to connect with people because we're going from earth to air, and air is very sociable. And that's a positive right there, starting off with the weekend. But because the moon is going to be void, it is not a good time to sign on the line on Friday. And then we have the square off still, however, on Friday with the sun. So we may be feeling a little bit low in our energy, our confidence, and our self-esteem. But with the sun in Sagittarius, we're still feeling like we're zesty, enthusiastic, forward looking, still wanting to speak our mind yet. And there's a sweet sextile on Friday with Saturn in very forward looking Aquarius and Sagittarius. So although on one hand, we may feel a little low ebb on the energy there, a little sluggish in the morning, and it's a voided moon. At the same time, with that sweet sextile with Saturn, well, we know everything's just going to work out just fine no matter what. And that's a really positive attitude to take, especially since it's the start of the weekend. However, we also have an applying trine, although over the weekend, once the moon goes into Libra with Mars now. So that's going to be very good to practical action and making plans and taking action with whatever projects we have in mind. And so let's look ahead to finally the weekend. And here we are now in Saturday. Yes, it is the weekend indeed. And now we have the moon at 12 degrees of Libra by around noon on Saturday. And that is then going to apply the following day as sextile air and fire with the sun in Sagittarius. So come Saturday, our confidence is starting to build again. Our self-esteem, we're feeling awfully outgoing. And there's that word again, positive, with that sun in Sagittarius and the moon late, well, very likely closer to Sunday, moon in Libra. But we will have to watch out for certain chill in the air, if you will, with regards to affections, because now we've got from the trine with the moon in Virgo, we now have a square off with the moon in Libra. So on one hand, we're feeling rather enthusiastic. Energy is returning with the sextile come Sunday. But on Saturday, we've got that moon, we got the Venus in chilly Capricorn with Mercury. So on Saturday, certain negotiations or discussions could come to a halt. We want to really reach out to people. We want to feel accepted socially. But with that chilly Venus placement in Capricorn with Mercury, there's a need to connect, communicate, especially with the trine with, applying trine with Saturn and a trine with Mars. There's this real need to really connect with each other, which is wonderful. It's not really considered by technicality a grand trine because of Saturn at 21 degrees Aquarius, but you've got that trine to Mars. That's wonderful. It's very sociable, very outgoing. But on the other hand, the moon squaring off Mercury and Venus, it kind of, yeah, it lends a bit of a chill with our affections, and our communications may be a little bit mixed up because we also have got pre-shadow Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So the trick here is probably to be very sociable personally and to really express ourselves and our originality, really kind of get together with friends or whomever and really connect. But you don't want to get too involved with business negotiations because then that's where the difficulty is. So if we can keep it more personal and about our our expression, our style, maybe have a little discussion about anything intellectual like computers, social media, technology. That's all great and fine. But when it comes to business, finance, and that type of theme, well, things could get a little uncertain on Saturday. Now, looking ahead, we've got to look forward to. Finally, there is Sunday, and then we've got the moon late into Libra, and that is now past the trine with Mars and applying that square off to Pluto. So come Sunday, yes, it's that theme about power plays. Anytime you have Pluto squaring off with the moon, we really want to we want to be right. We want to take the lead. And why? Because both Libra and Capricorn Pluto are in cardinal signs, and that's all about our leadership and being number one, basically. So on Sunday, let's avoid power plays, power conflicts, although there could be something that crops up in the news and the like about issues with government, power plays, and so on and so forth, especially with the emphasis with Mercury and Venus in Capricorn. So, Sunday is the day just to remain low key and just enjoy the day. So, until the next weekly celestial forecast, many, many blessings.